back pay stimulus check timeline clarification and answering your question on Social Security SSI. And of course, that stimulus check, let's get right into it. And if you're new here or if you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe by hitting the button right down below the video, as all this information continues to change very rapidly right now. I'm doing all the research, I'm watching everything closely, and I'm here to break it down in the short videos to help you out any way that I can. And ultimately, make sure you're staying tuned with all the latest details as I'm breaking that down and taking all that information hot off the wire as I'm getting it and bring it to you right here in these videos. Alright, so a few hours ago in the last video that I put up, maybe you watch it. If not, I would say I would highly recommend going back and listening to that video from just a few hours ago. But if you did happen to see it, which a lot of you have already watched that video, there's a lot of really great questions coming on that video. And I want to spend some time in this one, breaking down these questions and actually answering them for you one by one. So in that previous video from a few hours ago, I actually came out and connected with a friend right here from the channel. I pulled out on the phone and we had the phone conversation. You could hear him right there in the video talking about his conversation that he just had with a staffer from one of the members of Congress as it pertains to Social Security 2100, as well as the SSI Restoration Act, and we even did talk a little bit about the focus stimulus check. Alright, so with all that being said, let me break all this down and discuss in further detail some of the clarification that I need to lay out here for you, based on what that video and some of the questions that I'm seeing coming in now. A lot of really great questions, but I do want to make sure that we are all on the same page with this, so let me break this down one at a time. First off, in that phone conversation, he said that the Social Security 2100 as well as the SSI Restoration Act is something that Congress wants to bring to the floor in the House and actually open it for debate, and of course go through the whole legislative process, probably starting sometime in mid-ish April, possibly even into May. Either way, you know, that just got a rarity deadline as of right now, or timeline I should say. But realistically, anything could be adjusted. As we know, things are pretty backed up right now, so either it could become sooner depending on how we do with this Build Back Better with gender or the stimulus package, or it could possibly come later. But again, this is kind of a rough timeline as of right now. But basically what it comes down to is this. Some people have been reaching out saying, okay, so here's the deal. If they want to get this legislation through and passed by then, if they actually do roll these, so let's just say for example they do get it passed. Okay, awesome, right? That'd be great for millions of people. However, if this actually does go into effect in January of 2023, doesn't mean we maybe get retroactive back pay all the way back to when it was actually passed into law. Well, it depends on how they would write the language. However, based on what my friends were sharing in that video, it sounds like they would probably like to write the language to say an effective date of probably 1/1/23 is probably how they would write it. So again, totally depends on how they would write the legislation. So who knows, again, maybe they'll have some cap clause in there that says paid back to a certain date, but again we would need to wait until we see the actual official legislation, because remember, things are definitely going to change, 100% going to change once they get into the debate phase in the Congress, in the House, and in the Senate. Things always change as they go through the debates, right? So just remember, back pay could potentially be an option. Next, I did see a couple questions coming out saying, okay, if this does actually go into effect in January of 2023, does that mean we're not getting the color race for next year? I don't think that how it's gonna be. The color race is one thing that is completely separate from everything else, right? So again, this is just me laying out my perspective on this. I'm not sure how they're gonna write the language, but I think the cost of living adjustment, the color race that comes into your payments at the beginning of each year, I think that is something that's completely separate of this negotiation that are ongoing right here. I think the color race could be coming regardless of what they do with this legislation. So if they happen to come in and boost benefits, it's probably going to be the color race on top of that. Does that make sense? Alright, so we talk about back pay, we talk about the timeline, we talk about retroactive pay, we talk about the color. Now let's talk about potential stimulus check. Alright, in that phone conversation, he said that there was not any talk about a stimulus check in that conversation. Now here's the thing, to the original communication with the congressperson was not necessarily focused around the stimulus check. It was mostly focused around the Social Security 2100, as well as the SSI Restoration Act. Okay, let's help these people out. Let's get them that focus check going forward in the form of the relief payment, the stimulus check, survival check. Honestly, who knows, whatever they're going to call it. But may they come together and do something like that to kind of fill the void bill gap. Bridge the gap between now and the start of the year when those new provisions will go into effect. So anyway, as you can see that they're trying to do a lot of different things here in this pieces of legislation, the Social Security 2100 and the SSI Restoration Act. So hopefully they'll get something done here. It's very encouraging, right? But as we also do know, one of the main provision and one of the main pieces of legislation that holding things up right now is the bill, that better agenda or any combination of it, whatever the thing may be again, that's what we're calling it, because we don't really know what the new name for the new bill is going to be. But there's all kinds of names out there: the revised bill, the Build Back Better Part 2, Build Back Better 2.0, skinny bill, standalone bills. I mean, honestly, there's so many things it's being referred as the stimulus package. I mean, honestly, there are so many different names, but this is the main provision that cars are being held up right now. In fact, the president is going to be out talking about that again. I believe next week in Wisconsin. I think I saw a little bit earlier today, so we'll get right back out there talking about that. So once again, it's certainly very much on the table right now. So anyway, we've got to stick together through this time. It's a very important time right now, and I will continue doing all this research. I want to help all of you in this community. And if you ever come across something, let's do it. So again, hope this one helps you. Make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Share this video with your friends on social media, and go back and check out any of the other videos here on the channel. Enjoy today, and I'll catch you again later.